Yeah, you could be 80 years old and running marathons. I mean,
Yeah.
you can be in better shape at 80 than you were at 40 or 30.
There are examples of that. There was a woman my wife met on a plane, and she was really buff, and and she's a bodybuilder. So she's 78 years old, and she is in better shape than when she was 30.
Well, good morning if you're in Hawaii, I suppose, or California, Washington, Oregon. How's everybody doing? Joe Barton here, flying solo. We're missing Leslie today, and Dr. Saunders is on his way, and there he is. All right. Hello, Dr. Saunders. So glad that you could join us today.
Me too.
Yeah. Just you're, Steady Eddie. Dr. Scott showing up every week, doing his thing.
You know what? I have been the most consistent on this webinar, you must admit.
That is very true.
I think I've missed 2 in the last couple of years.
Yeah. You missed one, and I think we did like a pet themed one when you were gone. And then I don't remember what we did for the other one. Were you there for Jim Riefenberger when he was doing some fitness stuff?
I think that was one that I wasn't there.
Okay, that might have been the one. So yeah. All right. Well, we're giving some time for people to hop on the Zoom here. Welcome everybody. This is the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. So if you have blood sugar that needs to be fixed, you've come to the right place. All right. This is episode somewhere around 140. I don't even remember. 143, 136. It's somewhere in the 130s or 140s. I'm just I'm the visionary guy. I kind of sit in the background and dream, and they let me do the fun stuff. And Leslie, she kind of runs a tight ship, but she's actually in Costa Rica with her husband at a marketing event this week. So they're suffering in Costa Rica, beautiful place. Part of me wishes I could be there, but part of me is glad to be home because I've been traveling a lot lately. So anyways, glad that you guys are hopping on the Zoom here. We're gonna cover some good stuff today. So every week we talk about type 2 diabetes, and it is based on this diabetes solution kit right here. Hopefully you've got your own copy of this beautiful printed copy of all the good stuff. This is the 10th edition. Right here, you can get a copy. Easiest place to get this, if you don't have it already, is bartonwebinar.com. That is Barton, Barton, webinar.com. And you scroll to the bottom, you can see a bunch of our products. The last couple of weeks, we've been talking about our supplements, which we've got multiple supplements that we talked about. If you missed that, go back and watch the recording. You can find us on YouTube. Our channel is the Barton Webinar YouTube channel. I don't know if we have the supplement one posted yet or not. My son Cedric is our video editor, and he usually gets to those within a week or so. But we've got a bunch of these webinars recorded where people get their own questions answered, and we hear success stories of people's journeys as they've gone from really high blood sugars and A1Cs down to normal. And it happens really quickly for a lot of people, which I find fascinating. So Dr. Saunders, today, a little bit later, we're going to talk about the health retreat. We're going to spend a good chunk of that because you and I need to game plan that more. And what better time to do it than with 100 other people on here with us.
With a lot of questions, hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about, so let's give our everyone's favorite part, the disclaimer. Dr. Saunders is giving great general information. However, it is not necessarily specific to you because each person is different and each person is on different medications or not, or has their own health histories and stuff. So this is not medical advice. It is just great information on how to fix blood sugar, and take it with use common sense. So Dr. Saunders, can type 2 diabetes be reversed? Is it even possible?
Well, that question has always ended up with it depends. And it depends on the individual, it depends on the desire, it depends on the reason for it. The most logical, rational thing to consider is that type 2 diabetes means it's too much, like it's toxicity. So as long as people remain toxic, it's going to be hard to reverse. But if you get rid of all the toxicity in the body, then it goes away pretty well. And I've had many people who are now no longer considered diabetic because if they test, they don't test positive for diabetes. They don't test positive for insulin resistance. And they have normal blood tests. So since they test normal, they're considered not to have diabetes, whereas before they tested positive. So the answer is it's possible if done properly and if you find out the actual reason why it's there. So the way we do it is we look at it generally is type 2, we're looking at toxicity. So how do you detox? That's really our kind of our program. If you want to put it into a nutshell, how do you detox? And that's what, so we've written a book on the Diabetes Solution Kit, which is essentially just the detox program. There are other ways to do it. That's not the only way. We chose there's a lot of different ways to look at it. And we chose this way because it was something most people could do. It was something that was simple. You could easily understand it. There's now, with like keto diets out there, there's a lot of foods you can get that are a lot of support for it. So it's easy and it works. So that's one detox way. There are other things. We've talked about fasting. We've talked about even doing the no fat diet for some people is in some cases, maybe even a better option. So what we've chosen is this because it applies to more people for detoxing off of all the excess carbs that have caused the problem in the first place. Makes sense.
It does make sense. You spoke about keto, and I got to do a shameless plug here for Magic Spoon cereal. This stuff right here, it is 4 grams of net carbs. So if you are a cereal lover like me, and I know Dr. Saunders is going to say, wow. So I'm just telling you.
I'll go like this, and then I'll go like this.
0 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs. And it tastes amazing. The only thing I noticed is it's a little sticky in your teeth or whatever. But Dr. Saunders, come on now, cereal.
So one of my patients actually sent me a box that had every one of the Magic Spoon flavors in it, and so I got to try it. It's really kind of sticky in your teeth, and it's still artificial sweeteners. It's still it could raise your insulin level. It may not raise your blood sugar, but protein. It's milk protein primarily, so it's essentially like powdered milk, essentially that they've gotten some fat in there. So you have fat, protein with no carbohydrates. So it could still raise your insulin, and so that you could try that on phase 2.
Okay.
On phase 2, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you're testing your blood sugar, and you're going to eat some, and you're going to see if your blood sugar goes out of whack from it.
That's a good point. Good point. So phase 1 of the program is basically limiting your carbs daily to 20 grams net carbs or less. which is a very low number. Like you can barely eat an apple and like you'll be at close to 20 grams right there. The net carbs comes from when you reduce it, the regular amount of carbs by the fiber content. So carbs or fiber is a carbohydrate, so that adds to the total, but then you reduce that to get your net. And then phase 2 is when you can increase your daily net carb allowance up to 40 grams. But again, it all depends. Like you want to test test your blood sugar just to make sure that it doesn't start going back up again. And a common question that we get from people is, when should I go from phase 1 to phase 2?
So you want me to answer that?
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great.
Okay. When you're stable on phase 1 in a normal level. So once your blood sugar is normal and it's pretty stable, normal in phase 1, then you move on to phase 2. If it's not stable, then phase 2 is gonna send you out of whack again. But if you're pretty stable, like your morning blood sugar, or if you have a CGM, gosh, man, I had another patient came in with a continuous glucose monitor, and they're just patches that they put in, and they Bluetooth connect to your phone, and then so she shows me the graph of where her blood sugar is and everything. So if you have one of those, it's awesome, because if you stay in the normal range all the time, and it's like, yeah, you're on, it's right on. Move on to phase 2. You're there. For how long? A couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, whatever that. And that depends too on individuals. Some people they start on phase 1. Within 1 week, they're like normal. Everything's back to normal. All their blood sugar's normal. Their hemoglobin A1C is back to normal. Everything's normal, like in a week. Other people on phase 1, they call us and they go, I've been doing this for 4 months and I'm still have high blood sugar. I'm like, okay, something's wrong here. So then you have to check, do you have an insulin, antibodies against your insulin? Do you have a deficiency of insulin? There's other reasons for having high blood sugar. So if it's not working, if you've gone months on phase 1 and you're not seeing results, then further testing is warranted. So the amount of time will depend on how well you're doing, but just look at it as, if you've gone a couple of weeks and you're really stable and your blood sugar is normal, move on to phase 2.
Yeah. All right. Well, good stuff. So if you're joining us live right now on the Zoom, feel free to enter your questions in the Q&A section. That is the best place for me to find them. If you put them in the chat, sometimes I get a little lost there, but we're going to spend the last 20 to 25 minutes or so answering your questions, anything about your journey along the path of the Diabetes Solution Kit, Reversal Program. We like to say we put diabetes into remission. So you can't find it anymore if you test for it, but that doesn't mean it can't come back, because if you go back and do the things that that led to it in the first place, it's just, just going to crop up again. And so an important distinction there, I would say. But let's talk about this amazing health retreat that you and I are going to host in 2 months from now, like a little over 2 months from today, actually, on the 18th of August in Arizona, just north of the Phoenix airport, about 30 minutes. And, you and I, Dr. Saunders, we're entrepreneurial. We kind of fly by the seat of our pants. We don't have a super tight, all the details worked out yet as far as like travel times and all that, but we do have a good agenda and a plan for when we're there together. But I want people on this call to listen to us as we talk about what we're going to be doing and why they might want to consider joining us. So, yeah.
Or if people could add in what kinds of things they'd like to see. So we've got discussion sessions, like 3 discussions a day. We're going to go shopping. We're going to have hikes, where, early morning hikes, or when it's cool.
Yes.
So we have all these great things planned, and it would be interesting if people could say, well, what I would like to see is this, and what I would like to see is this.
Yeah. This is like a highly customizable health retreat. We only have room for 4 or 5 couples, really. So we've got the healing house that I purchased a few months ago with the intention of doing these health retreats, and then I also rented an Airbnb like a block away. So we'll be close by, and then we'll meet in our house during the day, and then we'll have the other house has 6 bedrooms, which will be able to fit everybody. So
So we're gonna be doing things like cooking together, and one of the things is that taking the recipes out of the book. What do they look like? What is it like to make those things? And we're gonna actually make them and eat them, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Go shopping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the plan as of right now is Thursday we arrive and we have a meet and greet time with some healthy food options. And our first discussion is going to be the 610 reset, which is, as we've talked about many times before, Dr. Saunders has figured it out. If you stop eating by 6 o'clock and go to bed on an empty stomach at 10, your body enters into a repair and restore and reset phase that starts to heal itself. And if you do that enough, like, you're going to feel amazing. On Friday, we're going to have individual instruction with each participant, and that all depends on people getting signed up and then ordering some lab tests, and Dr. Saunders will be reviewing those and giving his thoughts and feedback on that. So throughout the weekend, that'll be kind of a customized thing to really dig in and look at individual people, like what's going on. And
yeah,
really,
so that'll be more of a private thing that wouldn't be a group discussion. It's just a private with your individual tests.
Good point. Yeah. We don't need to share all that. And we're also planning, so this will be like a 4-day, Thursday through Monday, Monday travel days. We're going to have a great time, community time, making friends, and, hearing from Dr. Saunders, walking the talk, and together, but also we'll have some support afterwards, follow up beyond that. We'll probably have a few private Zoom calls as well, just to follow up and make sure that people are really getting the most out of that. We'll be talking about diabetes, of course. We're going to go grocery shopping together Friday morning after our early morning walk. Let's go to the grocery store. Let's walk around. Let's look at the foods that are good and healthy and part of the program, and let's talk about the foods to keep out of that grocery cart. We'll come back. We'll cook a meal together. You're going to be learning how to cook, how to prepare foods, different things like that. And we're going to be talking about your bacteria and microbiome and the place that how that factors into blood sugar and health overall. And then Saturday, a new day, another sunrise hike or walk, and we'll tailor that to, fitness levels. If some people aren't up for climbing a mountain, we'll just walk around the block a few times or whatever. We'll have different options for that. There's also at the healing house, we've got a massage chair, a Saragem massage table, which I have one right behind me that I use all the time. It aligns your spine, and it's amazing. There's a pool and a hot tub and free sunshine almost every day in the heat of Arizona. What else are we going to have? We, be eating healthy, drinking water, probably have some tea, different things like that. There is a weight bench and some weights if you want to get into that. There's a power plate vibration exercise machine, which is awesome. You can do like 10 minutes of exercise and get like a full body workout in. And the property itself is just beautiful. Like the landscaping was like just amazing. Like there's just different places you can go sit by yourself in the shade and pray, meditate, read, get away, relax and rest. Let me get back to our agenda here. So other topics that Dr. Saunders will be teaching on besides exercise is longevity and the health span. Give us a quick sneak peek on health span, Dr. Saunders.
Okay, so we talk about lifespan, and but what if you live to be 100 years old, but the last 10 years of your life is in such a state that you can't do anything? So, for example, I worked in a nursing home for 10 years, and during that time, I had a lot of people in there who were previously very functional. You know, I'm in Santa Barbara. There are a lot of people who owned businesses, people who had, corporate jets that they'd fly all over the world, and famous artists. We had like several famous artists, and now they're in a nursing home because they can't remember, they can't think clearly. One of them had Lewy body dementia. And I didn't know who he was, but his daughter came in and showed me his website. I'm like, whoa, wow, this guy's amazing. And she said, yeah, you'd never know now, right? Because that type of dementia just loses the ability to remember and concentrate and focus, and so you can't give all of the information, all of the wisdom that you've gained in your life. Isn't helpful. So health span is the entire time of your life. You have, as long as you're alive, your faculties are working, your brain, your digestive system, everything, your organs, everything functions well for your entire life. That's the idea of health span. How do you keep everything functioning well through your entire life?
Yeah, that's good stuff. Something I'm learning as I get older is age is just a number, and it doesn't define, how you need to feel. Yeah, you could be 80 years old and running marathons. I mean, you can be in better shape at 80 than you were at 40 or 30.
There are examples of that. There was a woman my wife met on a plane, and she was really buff, and and she's a bodybuilder. So she's 78 years old, and she is in better shape than when she was 30 and 40 and 50.
And a lot of that is just how you feel too. Like if you get up with energy and vibrance, like, I mean, that's really a huge part about it. And so your age is just a number, but you don't have to let that identify how you feel. You can be 80, 90 years old and wake up and feel like $1 million. So let's get a few people to join us for this health retreat. This might be the only time we do it, to be honest. Like, this isn't something that we're guaranteed to do several of. This might be a one and done thing, and it might be like, if when they get a couple people to show up, then it's like, all right, I guess it wasn't meant to be to do this long term. So this might be your only chance. So I put a little bit in the chat information about it. It's August 18th to the 22nd. You'll fly into the Phoenix airport. We're charging $5,000 for the entire weekend. That includes lodging, food, all of the activities that we do together, the time spent together, the follow-up, and you'd pay for your own travel. If you want to bring a spouse or a roommate, that would be another $1,500. So it's not for everyone. Obviously, not everybody can afford that, but I would say this is an investment into your own health and your future. And it's really like a vacation. So you're going to spend that on a vacation anyways. You might as well do it with people like us, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're interested, send Leslie an email. She is ready she knows that we're going to be talking about this today. Leslie at bartonpublishing.com is her email address. And I'll give you my own personal guarantee. If you come and you think we didn't over deliver, then I'll refund every penny. No problem. So,
Wow.
But I just know it's going to be worth it. Yeah. I am not worried at all. It's going to be an awesome experience. And so, yes, it's going to be hot. It's August in the desert, but there's a pool, there's misters, there's a big patio on the back with shade. It's going to be great. I think we need a midday nap, just like scheduling a nap too. Like we don't have to go super hard. It's all about, enjoying the experience, soaking it in, resting, relaxing, learning, while, staying active as well, active in our mind and our body and our spirits. And so we're getting some good feedback here from people that want to go, which is great. Love to have you. So, and we are going to do we're going to like screen people. We're not going to let, serial killers come on this either. So how did you know anyways? Like,
my kids accuse me of being a serial killer. My kids accuse me of being a serial killer because every time they buy cereal, I throw it in the trash.
Yeah. I talk about the healthiest cereal I can find, and you killed my dream there. Grain-free, low carb cereal killer.
I had a bunch of that.
I just ordered 6 boxes, but hey. What else? I'm even going to give away free supplements on this. So, the value that you're going to get from the health retreat is way beyond what you're going to be paying. You're going to make new friends. It's going to be amazing. You're probably going to make our Instagram page, pictures together. It's just going to be great. And so it's vacation with a purpose. It's a total immersion experience. You're going to be learning everything you need to know, but also like experiencing it, like in the kitchen, in the living room, on the patio, like on the walks and the hikes. Dr. Saunders, you've seen, the knowledge that he shares and the wisdom and experience from his 25 years, 20 some years experience.
Yeah, 25.
Yeah. So functional medicine doctor, which I love every chance we get to spend together. Including in a couple of weeks, you and your family are coming to hang with the Barton team for our own little internal retreat here in northern Minnesota. So
can we get to the questions?
Okay, fine. Let's get to the questions.
So Valerie wants to do it in Chicago. Wants to do a retreat in Chicago.
Can anything good come from Chicago? I don't know. No.
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm kidding. I like Chicago in some ways. I went to a great U2 concert there once. That was probably the highlight of my Chicago experience. But there's a few sketchy areas of Chicago that even just driving into Chicago, I get a little nervous. But, that's me, country boy here. All right. Are you ready should we tackle some type 2 questions here?
Let's do it.
Okay. From Steve, how can someone talk with you, Dr. Saunders, and have you order the blood tests or review blood tests if we are in California, but not a patient of yours?
Okay. So if you're not a patient, then dang it, it's the regulations. The medical board requires that certain things be done, and it's not a simple thing. In other words, as long as I have a license, then I can only do things according to the way the license. But what we've done is we have in one of our webinars, we listed all the tests that would be really helpful to do, and Leslie has that on the webinar. You can look it up, which tests to do. And and then you can have those tests done, and then we have an explanation and interpretation of each one, so that you can look at how those are done, so that we could give that out as general information. But if you want specifically recommendations based on your tests, then if you live in California, you can call my office and set up a telehealth appointment, and we can do it online.
Yeah. What's the phone number for your office?
805-688-7171.
All right. I will put that in the chat right now. Okay, good stuff. And next question, how do you reset the pancreas?
Okay, great. Well, this is an excellent question, and it's really simple. The pancreas is what is making all of these enzymes to digest your food, and it can digest itself, and it does need to be reset, because if you're constantly eating, putting things in your mouth, then your pancreas is constantly making insulin and glucagon and all of the enzymes for digestion and all that. So the pancreas requires a lot of activity. So the best way to reset it is the same way you reset anything. If your computer's acting up, you shut it off and then turn it back on again, and it starts working. Well, that should be done with the pancreas on a regular basis, and that's what fasting does. Fasting resets the pancreas totally. So you can fast for 1 day. The optimum level is 3 days. 3 days, you reach a kind of a peak where you get more benefit for going 4, 5, 6, 7 days. 7 days is the point at which you become stable, and then it's more of a matter of weight loss and stuff and that kind of thing. But yeah, fasting is the best way to reset the pancreas. Or consider this. If you have time in between a meal, your stomach needs time to get empty. So if you have 5 hours between meals, so you eat at 7 and then again at noon and then again at 5 o'clock in the evening, so that you can do your 6-10 reset, right? You're not going to eat anything after 6. Then you have periodic times throughout the day when your stomach's empty. And when your stomach's empty, the pancreas rests and resets.
So a good fast really is just when your stomach is empty, like from anything, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
Anything.
And so let's talk about water fasting versus juice fasting. Do you even recommend any type of juice fasting ever, or do you just do water or even minimal water?
So I don't call it fasting. Fasting is an empty stomach. So if you're going to take things in, the best way to call it is a cleanse. And the idea of the cleanse is you're also going to have an empty stomach, but for just periods of time. It's not going to be like a fast, like you don't have anything in your stomach for a long time. So a cleanse would be a juice cleanse, and I have put people on that, or a broth cleanse. I've had people do that. And those often work really well for even diabetes. If you're doing vegetable juices, for example, there have been several people that have had fibromyalgia do a cleanse with celery juice. Seems to work really well for that.
You got to be careful with juice fasts that you don't have much sugar in the juice.
Yeah,
a lot of times
sugary juices.
Fiber. Yeah, the fiber is taken out. So yeah, I mean, even the word breakfast means break fast. And you think about, like, if you sleep for 8 hours, you've got 8 hours with no water, no food, and hopefully even more than that. If you're doing the 6-10 reset, you're probably doing like 12 hours straight with no food or water or anything. And you've taught this on previous webinars. Just look up 6-10 reset or fasting in our archives and find it there. So, okay. Jim asks, how do you tell if you are pre-diabetic?
Oh, that's an excellent question. The definition of pre-diabetic is best done with a hemoglobin A1C, and that would be at 5.7 to 6.4. So in that range is what is called pre-diabetes, because over 6.4 is diabetes. So don't think of it as a as a number, it's a yes or no question. It's not a yes or no question. It's where are you on the scale? You're a little bit down here. Okay, we call that pre-diabetes. If you're down a little bit more, okay, that's non-diabetic, and pre-diabetes. A little higher in your diabetes. But you know, from 6.5 to 10 or 12, I've seen people 12, 13. That's all called diabetes. And so, you know, we have sort of this range that we look at. So the answer to your question is do a hemoglobin A1C. If it is over 5.7, over 5.6, 5.7 and up to 6.4, then that's called pre-diabetes.
All right. Welcome to the Garcias who made it in. Hey, late is better than never, right? Good to see you guys. And we were talking about the health retreat just before you guys hopped on. And so we're excited for you guys to join us. And that's what I'm probably most looking forward to, is meeting the Garcias. So you guys recorded an awesome testimonial video with Leslie a month or so ago. And that was super encouraging. If you haven't seen, we've got several testimonial videos on our YouTube channel as well. Check those out. Super encouraging. You can find people that have been in the place that you've been and have gotten through and broken through to that, putting their diabetes in remission. So good stuff. Super encouraging. This is a great community of people we've got here. Okay, next question from Raymond. Why didn't you put berberine in your Gluco Support? So real quick, Gluco Support is a product from a different, not our company, but we don't have berberine in Synachroma or any other products at this time. It is something that's on our list that we're considering. So what do you think about berberine, Dr. Saunders?
Well, one of the reasons, you know, berberine is not a bad choice, and actually it's pretty good. It's like the equivalent of metformin. And so I really like berberine. There were some issues that we were looking at when we were looking at which herbs to use. The cinnamon seemed like a better option at the time because I was also doing some research on berberine for cancer. And so we were looking at doing that for a different supplement. The point of the supplement was not that either the berberine or the cinnamon was going to bring your blood sugar down and, you know, it's going to be like the metformin and fix the problem, because that's not what fixes the problem. Yeah, that's a support thing. It helps. But the most important ingredients in there are vitamin D, which helps you be more sensitive to your insulin receptors, selenium, which helps you make more glutathione and decreases inflammation, the chromium and vanadium, which are necessary for the proper digestion of sugar or utilization of sugar in the mitochondria. And then the vitamin K for the vitamin D for the calcium. So those are common deficiencies. These are things that people are missing in their diet. And so the purpose for the Synachroma was not specifically to say, oh, this is going to replace a drug or something like that. This is to make sure that you have adequate levels of the nutrients that are needed to use glucose properly. Because why? Well, if you lack chromium, if you are deficient in chromium, you could have diabetes just because you lack chromium. So what? You start taking a supplement with chromium in it, you get your chromium levels up, and all of a sudden you don't have diabetes anymore. You don't have blood sugars whacked out all the time. So we wanted to make sure that everybody was getting enough of those because they're common deficiencies and they're required for blood sugar control. And then the cinnamon, yeah, that will help get your blood sugar under control while you're working on it with the diabetes solution kit with your diet.
Yes, yes. All right. If you would like to see the products that Dr. Saunders has formulated, as well as the diabetes solution kit that we have created in our 10th edition now, sorry, microphone, go to bartonwebinar.com. And also we've got a coupon code for our lovely webinar guests like you guys. Webinar 25, you save 25% off your purchase. Okay, next question. What suggestions do you have for energy levels? Newly diagnosed type 2.
Okay, so someone who's just been diagnosed with type 2 and they have low energy levels, there's a common reason. And so remember, I'm speaking generally to a lot of different people. And the common reason for this is that if you have insulin resistance, then you can't get sugar into certain cells, and you're lacking the ability to get sugar into cells that require it. So one of the things that happens, like with the kidneys, if your kidneys aren't getting enough sugar into them, then the kidney cells can't regenerate. They can't repair the kidneys. So you actually lose kidney function. And that's one of the problems with diabetes. Well, your energy system is the same thing. And so if you're eating fat and sugar, when you eat fat, it blocks your muscles from getting sugar into them. So you have no energy in the muscles and you just lack energy. So you want to get energy. So the best way to get energy is kind of ironic. And that is to cut out the carbs so that you can burn fat for energy. That's the diabetes solution kit. There is another way to cut out the fat so that you can burn carbs for energy. And that's another option, and that's not in our book. There are other books on how to do that. And then there's the other way, which is fasting. And I've had a lot of people tell me that if they do either intermittent fasting or a 3-day fast, they get their energy comes back. They start getting this because they can start using energy again.
Excellent. All right. Connie asks, what tests should I mention to my doctor for finding the reason for diabetes? He basically just wants to give me metformin. I know I'm anemic with low iron, so how do I find out the real reason?
Okay. Okay, so the tests, so we did a webinar on this, and we wrote down which tests should be done, but I'll go over them again. You need an insulin level. You have to know if your pancreas is working or not, and too much. So I'll give you some examples. Last week, a woman came in and her insulin level is 69. Normal is 5, and it can go up to 10. 69 is really high. So she's really insulin resistant. What does that mean? Well, you can have insulin and you can have a super high level of insulin and it's not working. In other words, the sugar and proteins, amino acids, are not getting into the cells. So she has no energy, she can't function, and metformin is not going to fix that. So that's why it's important to know what the underlying cause is, so that you can address it properly. I had somebody else come in and his blood sugar is high, wants to be put on, or the doctor wants to put him on, drugs and all that stuff. And he comes in and we test his insulin, and the insulin level was 2. Okay, that's not enough. That you have somebody who has a blood sugar of 300 and the insulin is 2. No, that means your pancreas is not functioning. It's not insulin resistance. That's not the problem. The problem is the pancreas is non-functional. So then we got to do other tests and look for antibodies against the islet cells, for example. It could be an autoimmune disease. So I don't want to complicate things and make it hard, but so you need to know what your insulin level is. And there's something called a C-peptide, which gives you sort of a more average of what your insulin level is. As opposed to the insulin is this moment, what is the pancreas releasing? Whereas the C-peptide gives you more of an average of, okay, during this period of time over the last few hours, I've released this much insulin. And Insulin C-peptide, we have to know what your glucose is at the same time, of course. And then having a hemoglobin A1C, which gives you the average glucose over a period of time. Those are the first simple tests that every doctor should do. And then if, there's something wrong with one of them, like there's no insulin being produced, and then the next question is why, and then you do further testing beyond that.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, here's an interesting question. Why does it take longer for a diabetic to have a wound heal? And is there anything that can be done to decrease healing time?
Wow, that's an excellent question. So, I worked in a nursing home, and we had, sorry, that's my phone. And we had a lot of people with wounds, and there are most of them are diabetics, and so they have chronic wounds that are hard to heal, and they're going and having dressing changes, and they just don't heal. So part one of your question was, why does it take so long to heal? And there's really one answer to that. And it's not because your blood sugar is too high. That's not the problem. The problem is circulation. And it's not macro circulation or the big blood vessels. It's the little teeny blood vessels. It's the arterioles they're fuzzy and they're messed up. And it's amazing. The system is so beautiful how it works. But when it's messed up, then you can't get blood into those tissues. And if you can't get blood there, you're not going to heal. So the way to handle this is, if you know what's going on, then you know what to do. You're not just going to go to the wound care center and dress it week after week after week, dressing it and hoping, I hope it gets fixed this time. No, you got to get the circulation there. So there are several things you can do. There's something we have called Nervala. Now, I know Nervala is for your nerves specifically, but the benfotiamine in Nervala does something really cool, and that is those little teeny arterioles that are all messed up on the inside and have cause poor circulation. The benfotiamine is a vitamin B1 that gets into the cells and helps repair. They're like little hair cells, a microcalyx it's called. Repairs the lining of the blood vessels so you get better circulation. Okay, that's one. Number two, we talked about heat. Magnesium helps dilate the blood vessels and allows better circulation. There's a light, and you can actually buy these LED lights for wound healing specifically. Sunshine, of course, has it's an infrared light that penetrates deeply and turns on the mitochondria. And so between supplements and light and heat and exercise. So exercise is very helpful because that improves the circulation too. So everything you're doing here is to improve circulation.
That's good stuff. Reminded me I needed to take my my supplements here. So
I'll just remind you once a week, Joe.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago you talked about how the body doesn't handle sugar alcohol well and could cause diarrhea. Can you explain why?
Because sugar alcohols aren't absorbed. Sorbitol, they aren't absorbed, so they get into the large intestine, and they just act like a laxative. In fact, you can get laxatives that are sugar alcohols. Yeah, so that's it. It's just a laxative effect.
Yeah.
Really
okay.
Simple.
All right. Let's see. Victoria, I asked my doctor about doing this, and he told me I had been taking insulin for too long to try to get rid of the insulin. Can I really do the program?
Yes. There is no length of time. You could be on insulin for years. There is no length that you're required or beyond which you can't repair the problem. So here's what you do. If you're on insulin and you want to know if you can do this program, reverse it, get off insulin, there's a really simple test to do, and that is a C peptide. It's C-peptide. And that C peptide is it's actually the end of the molecule of the insulin that your pancreas makes. If you have 0 C peptide, then your pancreas is not making insulin, and you probably won't be able to get off insulin. Now, I say probably because in some cases with autoimmune problems with the pancreas, we have been able to reverse that. So it's not out of the question. But I can't be sure of that. So that's going to be a little different than just doing the diabetes solution kit. So you get the C-peptide test, but if your insulin, if it's like a 2 or a 3, then you're like, wow, I got plenty of insulin. I don't need to inject insulin. I can just totally go on the program and then wean off the insulin as my blood sugar comes down. You can test for it.
Awesome. So there was some notes here from Jim about licensing as a medical doctor and some options there as a private member association. I'll let you read those on your own. I don't know if he's giving some free legal advice there or what, but
yeah, freely. You know what? That's so funny. One of my patients said, you know what, if you become a private medical association or private health association or whatever it is, then you can see anybody in the country. You don't have to have a license. You can just, you don't have to have a license in that state to see them. So yeah, I'm looking into that. Thanks.
Yeah, cool. He also had a question, although I don't know what the question is. He's 5'11", 230 pounds, 78 years old. Okay, I guess this would be it. So he's got low energy, he's got brain fog, overweight, large belly since last year, and he's hungry all the time. So I think he mentioned later he craves sugar a lot. His test results from a month ago: A1C 5.4, cholesterol 216, triglycerides 357. VDLD 621, LDL 110. So any tips for Jim and the craving of sugar and all that other stuff there?
Okay. So let's see. The A1C 5.4, that's a normal hemoglobin A1C. So technically you don't have diabetes. And that's not even really pre-diabetes. It's not optimum. The optimal level is 5.0 or thereabouts. If it's 4.8, 5.2, whatever, 5.0 is kind of the optimum, but 5.4 is decent. Your triglycerides are high, indicating that when triglycerides are high, that means that you're not burning fat for energy very well. And so your next step is to look at the insulin level and say, are you resistant to insulin? Because if you have a really high insulin level and you're resistant to insulin, that would be a reason for having your triglycerides so high. But the other reason would be if you don't have any insulin, if your pancreas isn't making insulin, which is unlikely with your hemoglobin A1C at 5.4. So that is, as far as the craving sugar, that's not a simple question. That's like, you got to replace it with something, when you crave sugar. So for me, I told this story before. I started out with Skittles in my car. I was popping Skittles, and my kids would play the Skittles game. And that was to see if you can guess what color it is. Your eyes closed, and I'd put one in their mouth, and they have to tell me what color it is by the flavor. Anyway, so and then I went from Skittles and I go, no, that's not good. I'm going to get off Skittles, but I have to have something. So then I had raisins, and then I found out, raisins are really sweet and they cause tooth decay. So maybe that's not a good idea either, to be popping raisins all the time. So then I switched to almonds, and that actually was not bad. And then I switched to carrots, those little baby carrots. And that's okay too. And then I kind of like, I don't have munchies in my car anymore. I just don't have stuff to eat. So, that was a progression of how I was able to get off my Skittles habit, craving sweets.
Oh, yes. All right. Good stuff. Jim, sounds like you need to come to the Arizona Health Retreat. So come on. August 18th to 22nd, send Leslie an email, leslie@bartonpublishing.com. We'll love to have you. Okay, we've got a couple anonymous ones. Let me find people that have their names in here. Okay, William Davenport. So we did a great testimonial video with him as well. He saw the eye doctor last week. She said, I may be forming glaucoma. She tested my eye pressure and it was 18 in one and 20 in the other. Wants me to come back in a couple of weeks and choose eye drops or laser treatment. I'm worried about scanning with the laser, so we'll probably choose the eye drops. I have no visual problems right now, so I'm surprised. I'm taking lutein, zeaxanthin, and mesozeaxanthin to supplement the color veggies that I eat to build up macula. Can I do more to prevent glaucoma?
Okay. Glaucoma is really a sticky issue. That's William, it's not a small thing. There's a lot of people with glaucoma. So glaucoma is a degeneration of the nerve in the eye. And it's the optic nerve just starts degenerating and because it's not getting enough energy. And so often associated with that, if there's inflammation in the eye, then the pressure goes up. So, but that's just an association. It's like a symptom of it. It's not the problem. And so dropping the pressure in your eye does not prevent you from going blind. It does not prevent you from losing your vision or your eyesight. And so the idea of either the laser or the drops is really to drop the pressure, but that doesn't fix the problem. So if you have decreased vision, that the astaxanthins, zeaxanthins that you're talking about, those are a great idea. But there are other things that have been shown to really help, one of which is vitamin B3, niacin. If you take niacinamide, then you won't get flush with it. Niacinamide works just as well, but you need fairly high doses. So it's like 3,000 to 6,000 milligrams a day. So it's 3 to 6 grams a day of vitamin B3 or niacinamide. There are several other things. If let's see, I wrote an article on there. I'll send it to Joe. I'll send it to Leslie. I'll put an article for glaucoma on the website so that you can go into that, and it explains everything. How 50% of people with high pressure in their eye don't ever get glaucoma, and people with glaucoma, 50% of them have normal pressure. So obviously the pressure isn't the issue. And besides, lowering the pressure does not decrease your rate of vision loss either. So fixing the problem of why the optic nerve is degenerating, it's an energy problem, and there are several things you can do. But so I'll send the report that I wrote to Leslie, and they can put it on the website. You can look at it there.
Okay, that reminds me, homecuresthatwork.com. That's the website, Dr. Saunders. You've been writing a monthly article since 2009 there, and I think we've got some info on glaucoma there as well. So,
yeah. Well, that's the article. That's the same one.
Yeah. So I put it in the chat there, homecuresthatwork.com. And if you don't know about that site, that's a fantastic site to learn and educate and read Dr. Saunders' writing. He's an excellent writer. Lots of research shared there. So we have about 3 minutes left, and we still have like a dozen questions. So I know we're not going to get through all of them. So I'm going to try to find a couple easy ones here. For those of us that drink coffee, Steve asks, what kind of cream do you recommend, and is half and half okay?
Yeah, half and half is fine. If you're on, yeah, if you're on phase one, the half and half or the cream sugar, that's fine. Either one. Yeah, that's fine. Either one. Here's one. The hemoglobin A1C. So this question is: I have been able to lower my A1C from 6.4 to 5.7 since March, but my fasting blood sugar is still 122. How does that make sense? Okay, so you're only looking at your fasting blood sugar and marking that. But what you're not seeing is that now when you're eating, your average blood sugar is dropping lower. So after you eat, instead of having this really high spike in sugar, it's a lot lower. So your average blood sugar is lower. That's what the hemoglobin A1C is. So that's important to note that, in that your hemoglobin A1C dropped, good sign. So you've gone from 6.4 to 5.7. That's significant. Good work.
Yes. Okay, so a couple of times I've seen this question today. So if you are fasting, should you still take your supplements?
No. You know what? When you're fasting, don't take your supplements. I don't take any supplements when I'm fasting either. Number one, they can irritate the stomach. And number two, it's food, and most of them don't absorb very well if you're not eating them with food.
All right. Jim says he's allergic to high heat and cactus. Thanks anyway. So I guess no Jim in Arizona. All right. That means we still have room for a couple more. All right. What is helpful for high levels of inflammation? Let me just say we've covered inflammation a couple different times. So go find the webinar episode on our page. Go to bartonwebinar.com or just search Barton Webinar on YouTube and you'll find it, and then find our inflammation one, because that's a good topic that takes more than a minute here. So
yeah, you got to find out why you have inflammation. It's just, if you don't deal with the why, then it's really hard.
Last one, Krish, who's been one of our most faithful followers for probably over 100 episodes. He still has some gas and bloating issues. He's taking healthy gut support, but any tips there on why he might still be having gas?
Gosh, if it's gas, there's only two places gas comes from. Either comes from swallowed air. And so you think while we're chewing, we're actually mixing air into our food while we're chewing. And you think of all your foamy saliva, well, all that foam is air. You're swallowing that, right? So that's one source of air, and that's what burping comes from. But it also gets down into the small intestine and goes through. So that's one source. The other source is the bacteria in your intestines are taking carbohydrates and making gases out of them. And it's not air, but it's gases like hydrogen and methane. Knowing that, then either a probiotic is going to help if you have a lot of gas, because or switching your carbohydrates. So if you're eating different carbohydrates, then the different bacteria are going to produce gas differently. So that's either a change in diet or a change in bacteria. And one of the bacteria that doesn't produce gas is lactobacillus. So most probiotics contain lactobacillus, and that generally doesn't produce air. Yeah, gas. That's an issue. There's another consideration, and that's something called SIBOs, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. If there's bacteria in your small intestine, that can produce gas, and it's not supposed to be there. In which case, generally, you can clean it out pretty well by fasting. Making sure you're hydrated is also helpful, because then your saliva isn't as foamy, and you swallow less air. So being hydrated, probiotics, dietary changes, And then looking like if there's an issue like SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, that can be an issue. You have to go to usually a gastroenterologist will look for that.
All right. Well, I know you've got patients to see, Dr. Saunders. We'd love to have you stay on longer, but we're going to respect your time and let you go. Thanks again, as always, and we'll see you next week. I'm going to stay on here for a little bit longer.
All right.
Thanks, Dr. Saunders.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so I saw a few other questions come through here that I might be able to help you with, and there's some that I certainly won't be able to help with as well, but I'll just point you back to previous recordings of these fixed blood sugar webinars, which you can find on bartonwebinar.com, or at least find a link to our YouTube channel from there. Okay, so let's see here. There's a very medical one. I'm gonna just have to say I can't answer that one. Lowering microalbumin and creatine. I can't help with that one. Sorry. Just if you don't have your question answered today, come back next week and try to get that question put into the Q&A section early, and we will get to it. So, all right, that one was already answered. I'm just going through the list here. I've got 6 left. How is one able to do a fast when your diabetes medication says to take it a half an hour before eating twice a day? So Dr. Saunders talked about how if you're taking supplements like nutritional supplements, you can just like not take those. But when it comes to medications, that would be something you should talk to your own healthcare provider about, because again, we don't know your exact situation, but if you tell them like, hey, I want to fast for a day or two, ask them if they're okay with you not taking the medicine for that day. I would assume most likely they're going to say, yeah, that's okay. So that's my unprofessional answer. Carol, are A1C numbers the same for men and women? That I can answer with confidence. That is true. The A1C is the same for men and women. There might be some nuances there, but I'm 99% sure that's true. Okay. I just saw this question from Greg. He received our iodine product. So let me just show you what that looks like here. This is our neurometabolic iodine. Come on, camera. Focus, focus. It's getting there. I don't know what's going on. My camera is just not working too well. Oh, there we go. Supports cognitive metabolic. There it is. Look at that beautiful bottle. Purple and gold, my favorite football colors. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. Yes, I am a suffering fan. So, Greg, you received your iodine, but you didn't get a dropper. My apologies, but Dr. Saunders talked about this last week, I believe. If you just take the bottle, and I'm going to do it right now in my water, and just put in just a couple drops and spill a little bit, it's okay. You don't necessarily need a dropper. Dr. Saunders talked about this last week. It doesn't have to be the perfect dropper amount. My apologies that the dropper didn't get included or got lost or something, but you can just dump in a few drops, and you can't take too much of it. And so hopefully that helps. Also, you can find droppers at a local pharmacy or drugstore or Walmart probably, or on Amazon, but again, you don't need it. Okay. Steve asks, do you have any instructions for a good fasting program? And I would say inside the diabetes solution kit, we talk about fasting, and so follow that in there. What else we got here from Melissa? Okay, so Melissa, you have a great question here. You bought the ingredients of our Synachroma. So 6 pills to our 1 pill on Amazon at 1/3 of our best price. Same dosages. I'm on a fixed income. Convince me, why should I buy your product instead of just buying all those ingredients separately on Amazon? Well, first of all, I don't know how you would have gotten all of those products cheaper than what we sell Synachroma for when you buy like our multi-packs, because we give pretty big discounts on that. We've had warehouse sales. Also, if you check your email this weekend, we're having a Father's Day warehouse sale. But I guess one of the benefits of Synachroma is it's all in one. So you only have to take one pill instead of 6. I guess if you like taking 6 pills and you can save a few bucks, then go for it. But one thing I would caution is, like, I don't know what those other brands are. I don't know if they're even lab tested to confirm that they're the actual right ingredients. I do know that the manufacturing facility that we use is very stringent on lab testing every batch of ingredients and formulations before we put them out. They are a FDA audited facility. There's all sorts of different rules and regulations that they have to follow. They're GMP certified, all of that. So we know that the quality is going to be top notch, pharmaceutical grade products, ingredients, all of that, the entire packaging process. And so again, it's up to you. I'm not going to say you have to take our brand, but Synachroma is Dr. Saunders formulated, the exact dosages and the quality of the manufacturing is, you can't get any better. So, and then Melissa, you also asked a really good question I wanted to talk to you about. So you just started the keto low carb phase 1, but you're on vacation visiting your grandkids, which sounds amazing. My son's getting married. My first of 4 sons getting married next month at the end of the month. And I'm excited because that means grandkids might be right around the corner. No pressure, Cedric, but hey, you know, all in God's timing, but I'm excited for that stage of my life to begin. So enjoying time with your grandkids. All right, back to Melissa. Your daughter tempted you with an English muffin with raspberry spread. That sounds dangerous. And your blood sugar went up to 183. All right, so there you go. That's kind of the proof in the pudding. The high carbs, the high sugar shot your blood sugar up. So your question is, should I just wait to get back on the wagon after I get home? And I would say no, like start right now. There's no reason to add further less than ideal choices onto one. So instead of like stacking a bunch of, you know, having all sorts of foods that are going to spike your blood sugar, just say, hey, you know what? I'd had that one time, it went up. I'm going to learn from that, and I'm going to choose to eat the lower carbs. And, you know, and hey, we all make mistakes, but I would say from a mindset perspective, have the attitude of like, hey, I'm going to make my next choice is going to be better than the last choice I made. So, and you stack that on top of each other. And so I would encourage you, Melissa, to do what you know is best for your body. You know, you're going to feel better. You know, you're going to be getting healthier. You're going to be able to have more energy and more vibrance and more life with your grandkids. So eat healthy. And another thing that a friend of mine, Clark Bartram, he's my fitness coach, highly recommend Clark if you are you want to get in the best shape of your life. Clark talks about how when you go out to eat, or if you are, you know, eating outside of your home, you have the opportunity for people to serve you food and bring you pretty much anything you want. So yeah, maybe you're going to say no to the dessert and to the higher carb menu items, but you can say yes to a salmon salad, for example, or maybe a steak with asparagus or something like that. Like, just think how amazing that food can be and that they're going to bring to you. Like, you can't, it doesn't get much better than that. People are serving you really good food. A lot of times you go to a restaurant and they're making, you know, their food is going to taste a lot better than your salmon that you can make at home, for example. So just say yes to the healthier choices, eat with gratitude, and I think that'll be helpful for you. All right, what else do we got here? Roy had a question about PSA levels. So that is a little bit beyond my pay grade for the prostate. relating to diabetes. So Roy, come on back next week and we'll get you your question answered on that. Describe a no-fat diet, Robin asks. I have a similar question because I've heard a lot about how back in the 80s and 90s, the whole low-fat diet was sort of a bit of a scam from the American Heart Association and cutting fat out of your diet. I think the scam is that most people that went low fat weren't actually low. Like, you have to be super stringent on that. And I think we've found it's just easier to cut out the carbs instead. So that fat question, I would say that would be a good topic for next week's webinar as well, Robin. So we'll get to that. All right, we're getting close to the end here. Are there devices to self-check sugar glucose? I'm not on insulin. So thanks, Olib. Earlier today, Dr. Saunders talked about a continuous glucose monitor, CGM, and that's, you can stick it on the bottom of your arm and it stays there for like 2 weeks, I think, and then you can take your phone and scan it, and your app will tell you what your levels are at, and you can see like what it is all the time. So that is something you could ask your doctor about. I think you need that to be prescribed from a doctor. There might be some places you can find it online now, but I'm pretty sure you need a doctor's prescription. So, all right. I'm going to hang on here for another minute here and look through the chat, make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, somebody's got a pecan tree. Pecan. I say pecan. Sometimes I get tricked into saying pecan. I don't know. It just depends where you grew up, I think. Is it safe for my blood sugar? If so, how many can I eat? I don't know the content of carbs in a pecan. And so I know if you eat pecan pie with ice cream, the sugar content is going to blow up your blood sugar pretty fast. But I think if you just Google that, you should be able to see like how many carbs in a pecan. So, all right. I think that is about it. So wrapping up here, if you're still here, and if you didn't hear already, send an email to leslie@bartonpublishing.com if you're interested in the health retreat. We're going to be doing 2 months from now in August in Arizona. And we would love to have a few more couples join us. It's going to be fantastic. You can, send Leslie an email to get more information, show your interest. And Velo says 1/4 of a cup, 1 net carbs. Is that for pecans? That sounds like a pretty good snack there, right there. Okay, thanks, Velo. There you go. Sounds like pecans are pretty good, I would say. So yeah, if you're interested in that health retreat, send Leslie an email and she will be getting back to you. And we got to get the travel arrangement set up and flights booked and all that kind of stuff pretty soon here. So also send Leslie an email if you have a testimonial to share. We love to do private Zoom calls with our friends who have positive testimonials or stories to share, and then we post it on YouTube and share it with other people. So we've had about a dozen or so people do that with us, and it's something that Leslie is really good at. It's a good time, 20, 30, 40 minutes long, however you want to spend sharing your story. It's really encouraging for us as a team at the Barton Publishing, Barton Nutrition team, and Dr. Saunders, and also for people on the webinar, people that watch our YouTube channel and videos. Speaking of YouTube, go there and subscribe. We've got just shy of 7,000 subscribers now that are watching us. And so we are very thankful for each person, each subscriber, each viewer of our webinars. I'm going to sign off now, but I'm going to say God bless to you guys. Keep up the good work. This is a journey. This is a great resource. I hope you have it. I hope that you follow it. And I hope that if you do make a mistake, you just get right back on and make that next choice to be a better choice and watch your body respond and see how you feel, see how you look, see that pep in your step. And yeah, appreciate you guys. We'll take care. We'll see you next time. God bless. Bye-bye.